Hey there. How is it going? So I want to I want to say hi because there's something on my chest that hey, how's it going? So I want to talk about something um, important because I was in a coaching session yesterday with one of my clients, and it was an emotional one because they've been they've been working on their goals, their transformation. And they told me that they met with a friend who was also looking for a role in UX for about a year and change. I don't remember the exact number, but my client's friend shared that they were looking and looking and it was taking this amount of time. And then they made a decision to transition out and pivot towards PM, product management. And after they did that, they found a job easily. And that's fine. And I'm not here to judge anyone that makes a decision to go in a different direction. That's not the point of this. The point is that after my client had that conversation with her friend, it caused her to have like this moment of reflection, and it that's okay too. What ended up happening was they had this sort of moment of I don't want to over dramatize it, but it created a bit of a spiral, and it it wasn't the focus of why we had that one-on-one session. But the long and short of it is that it brought up a lot of noise and doubt and fear they were that they used to have kind of like held at bay, which is a theme that we were working on anyway. And it's a theme that I work on with all my design career clients. And the point and the reason why I'm telling you all this is not because I'm here to say that you shouldn't consider other options, or that you should stick to UX. Although I'm heavily biased and I don't want to see people pivoting away from their goals. That conversation reminded me of the journey that I've been on, the journeys of the other people that I've coached to new roles. And the thing that people don't see before that announcement that I've just started a new role with Team ABC, the thing that people don't see is everything that came before. And based on the people that I worked with, I wanted to talk about this theme, this what goes sort of on behind the curtains, and that it's usually not perfect. And when it is a smooth process, that's fantastic. I wish that's how it would continue to be. People only see the LinkedIn post when it says I got the job. They don't see what came before it. And so I want to pull back that curtain. So in that session, there was doubt and exhaustion and comparison to other people. And it was a hard moment. And it's not the first time I've had emotional hard moments supporting the people that I'm working with. And when this like core tension around external perspective, around when someone says, oh, you should just do something else, it's easier, but you're the one standing in that arena. It's your career that you are navigating and trying to drive. That is a specific kind of loneliness, and I've been there and many times. And uh through the support of my family and friends, I eventually found a way to push through it. And it took me years to get to where I am. And for those that don't know who I am, hi, my name is Chris Miller. I'm a senior experience designer at Electronic Arts Frostbite. I work on game engine features and work on building holistic systems design. And my journey was not easy. And I've been in the gaming industry in two different companies, Unity Technologies and here at Electronic Arts. And in between those companies, I've worked across a spectrum of environmental health and safety SaaS, agency, HR intranet SaaS, data security, and GRC. And I consider myself very fortunate to have been able to have that type of exposure. And so the point to get back to that I want to get back to is around reframing what motivation is versus willpower. Motivation is a feeling. Willpower is the decision you make when the feeling isn't there. Willpower is the decision that you make in the moments when you're by yourself and you're like either on the edge of giving up and something in you, be it a goal or something that is just in you, that you either switch on or noise that you push away because you are locked on to the thing that you want, and you're going to fight for what you want, and that can take on many different forms, and it can period. And so it's the people who, I think it's the people who that make it aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who keep moving anyway. And that's and that is also from my own lived experience when I was working in Best Buy, stacking Blu-rays and games on a shelf, thinking like, is this it for me? That was when I was in graphic design before pivoting to UX. And so in that session with my client yesterday, I was reminded of this domino set of stories, and one of them was with one of my coaching clients back in 2022. They were pivoting into UX, and they had previous experience in a different industry altogether, and I coached them into their first role. They landed that, and that was a huge win for them. And they were working in that role for about 3 years. And then there was a round of layoffs and they were impacted. And fast forward to like that happened in recent time now. So 3 months ago, that happened for them. We started working together, and this was going to be our second time going for it. And yes, they landed another role 3 months after they were impacted by that layoff. And the thing is that I'm summarizing for you, but what you did not see behind the curtain is that the anxiety, the confidence that was shaken with that client, even in spite of those things, she relentlessly showed up, not just for my support, but she showed up for herself. And to me, that's an example, that's a gold standard example of what it looks like when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. And this work that I do with my clients, it stops being work when my clients, these people, I consider them my friends, when they find a way to merge the two, unstoppable force and an immovable object. My goal is the immovable object, and I will become the unstoppable force that reaches that goal. It's a beautiful thing, and I love seeing it happen over and over and over and over again. And then with my other client, who has 12 plus years of experience, almost as much as me, he was getting ghosted, he was getting rejections, he couldn't figure out what was going on. It took a toll on his confidence, and some imposter syndrome was like rearing its ugly head. And whether or not you believe that exists or not, there was a block happening with him. And the turning point for him through our work together wasn't a new skill. It was helping him realize that he already knew enough. He wasn't lacking. And I remember when I was running my group presentation session, which is sort of like our dojo, I distinctly remember when he was presenting, and after presenting his portfolio, and he was fielding Q&A from the community, he had this moment of like self-acknowledgement and realization that, wait a minute, all the answers were here in the end, and I could see that, and he acknowledged it too, and then he got the job after. So I love when that happens. And then there's another client that I'm thinking of who was searching for their next role while employed at their current employer. This was last year. They were searching for 11 months before they met me, and then we worked together, and their confidence shot through the roof, and I could see it. And it's this really beautiful blossoming moment where, through that journey and that transition from where they were to accomplishing that goal, and then the additional stacking of proof that they belong in this version of the next chapter of what they wanted for their career. It's a mega empowering thing. And that third person, actually, I learned it with my client last night. They live in the same state, and they live in the same, like, within like coffee shop distance with each other. They cross paths, and my client from last year was like, hey, don't give up. And I was trying my hardest not to bias and just be present with my session last night. But at the same time, as soon as they said that, I was like, that's what I really want to tell you. You've come so far. You've done all this work. You need to celebrate that. I know you had a hard day, but at the same time, look at the wins, celebrate them, and let's take a break. Like, take the night off and come back to it tomorrow. And so the pattern across all of them, all of these example stories that I'm highlighting, is that nobody's story is a straight line. Every one of them had a night where they wanted to quit, flip a table, throw a laptop, don't do those things. But the difference is what they did the next morning. And so you're allowed to have hard moments. You're allowed to have the hard night. You're not allowed to let it be the end of your story. You're not allowed to have that be the end of your story. Whatever keep going looks like for you today, that's the work. And so, yeah, I have a program. Yeah, I work with mid to senior UXers looking to craft what the next version of their career looks like. Yeah, I help people who've been impacted by a layoff, and I've been doing this for a very long time. And so if this is something that sounds like it could be beneficial and helpful to you, send me a DM on LinkedIn. My name is Christopher Miller, and that's what's on my heart right now. That's what I want to just put out there. No other fluff. This is the end of the video. Reach out and know that you're not alone. And that's the best part of our international global design and creative community. So yeah, take care, and I'm rooting for you.